What the city is talking about. This is Montreal Now on News Talk Radio, CJAD 800.
That is James MENNIE. He is over at the Montreal Gazette. Jim, let's go with this breaking story, if you will, with respect to French and the lack of success, I guess, in the school system. You sent me this story just a while ago. What's up here?
Well, yeah, I mean, it's kind of funny because, it's a breaking news story. It's also a news dump because the Education Ministry decided to let these exam results become public on the Friday afternoon before the long Labor Day weekend. Right. All that said, the overall numbers are raising a few eyebrows. The success rate for French written exams from the provincial government is 66.9%. That's a drop of more than 4 points compared with the previous year. And it's a little more spectacular than you think, Aaron, because they had eased up on this exam because of, the whole, students are still recovering from, the COVID gap, the strike gap. So they said, okay, we're not going to make it too hard. And they still dropped significantly compared with the year before. And the numbers compared to pre-COVID aren't even in the same ballpark. The average was closer to like 79 compared to the 66.9 we had, 79 in 2019. Anglo students, interestingly, they didn't do great when it came to the written test. When it came to reading comprehension. They only had a success rate of 67%, and yet they scored 82% a year earlier, which is a kind of a weird drop. And I don't know if, whether you can blame it on the strike, whether you can blame it on the exam, who knows. On the other hand, the rate of success for Anglo students when it came to French written was 82%, and that's an increase of 4 points. So, and quite frankly, speaking from personal experience, it's a little tougher to get all those put all those little funny hats on the ears when you're writing in French than it is to basically understand what's going on. All this said, this is a major poke in the eye for Francois Legault. It's a major poke in the eye for the CAQ government. Clearly, they are going to have to slap together a blue ribbon panel of experts to determine how to blame this on Anglophones and immigrants. But the fact of the matter is, the education system is not in very good shape, or at least it's triaging, because the education system, according to these exam results, there was actually improvement in the success rate when it came to science and math. But that said, French, remember, we're forcing immigrants to come here and basically try and become, semi-fluent in a matter of months. And here we have, kids who presumably can trace their ancestry back to les filles de roi, who are not getting even the fundamentals of their linguistic necessities before they leave high school. But this is this is completely typical. Francois Legault has wrapped himself up in the cloak as being the guardian of French language, the guardian of French identity in Quebec. And the fact is, his education department, his education system is really letting the French language down big time. And it's not a matter of being able to point the finger at somebody else and blame them, which is usual government policy. This is a made in Quebec, made in CAQ headquarters educational crisis.
It's funny you said that part about it. I wonder how to find a way to blame the Anglos or the English for this. That's going to be hard to do, isn't it?
Why not? Blame us for everything else.
Well,
it's our influence. Aaron. You could take all francophones in Quebec and put them on an island, in the middle of the Pacific, and they would still find a way to blame the English language for infecting the purity of the French language. That's the problem. Now, when I say that, I'm not saying that your average francophone is like that. In fact, I think a lot of francophones right now are looking at these results saying, well, I'm glad my kid did well in math, because my kid's going to need math. My kid can speak French. If my kid can't do a dictée, or if my kid, doesn't quite catch all of the subtleties and nuances of, Laval, the Molière, or whatever, all of that may not be may not be top of mind. But for Francois Legault, who has made this a fundamental, existential issue for his government and its future, this is bad news indeed. And coming as it does, because don't forget, Aaron, we're not just talking, the Legault government is not just a government of education. The Legault government is a government of health. And when you see what happened today with the FIC, and remember I told you yesterday, I wouldn't want to get into a knife fight with the FIC in an alley because I'd wind up in bad shape. They're the toughest union I ever saw. And sure enough, they turned around after they got this offer from Francois Legault in terms of being assigned to various new departments or different institutions. They basically told him to take the offer and stick it where the monkey sucks the nuts. And by the way, we're going to start banning. We're not going to work any overtime beginning in the middle of September. And the thing is, Aaron, it's so funny because I hear you quite rightly reminding our listeners that, you know what, Jean-Francois Legault hasn't said boo about what he's going to do to clear up this whole idea of receiving health care in English. It's kind of interesting because the Legault government's track record is essentially, and their idea of negotiating is they say, okay, I'm going to offer you $50 for 2 weeks. And you say, that's unacceptable. Okay, we'll come back. He comes back, okay, I'm going to offer you $50 for 2 weeks. And you say, well, no. And you say, why are you being so unreasonable? In other words, their offer never changes. So whether it's negotiating with the FIC, whether it is dealing with McGill's foreign student registration, whether it is receiving health care in English or French, believe me, their position is not going to change. They're going to pat us on the head, hope we forget about it, and it's all going to go away. But I my hat's off to you for reminding our listeners about this, because I will bet you folding money that even now you're going to find some way, there'll be some brief Friday afternoon announcement from a Berger's office saying, no, we've thought about it and we're going to keep the 31-page memo intact.
Can you imagine if that was actually the case, Jim? I mean, that's a complete reversal from what the minister said on this show.
Well, the complete reversals have been known to happen when it comes to the CAQ government. You may recall that, in the distant past, in 2018, Francois Legault actually signed an agreement saying this was the last election that would be conducted under first past the post. I mean, let's be fair. Trudeau told the same lie as well. But the fact is, we've still got the same system because it profits Francois Legault and the CAQ. But the fact is, they think nothing about doing this. And now that they know they've got this incredible almost 2-year period where they might be able to turn their fortunes around, who knows which way they're going to go. I know for a fact that when the session resumes, you're not going to see a change in policy from Francois Legault. He is going to hit the ground running. He never had a problem that he couldn't blame on someone else, whether it's linguistic, whether it's policy or whatever. So you're going to see a lot of that when the session resumes. But once again, the bottom line here is don't get your hopes up when anybody from the Legault government, much less the minister responsible for French, talks to you about what kind of health care you're going to be receiving. And you're not hearing word one from the health minister, Christian Dubé, or indeed the minister responsible for Anglos, Eric Girard. So you know what? Manage your expectations.
God, I hate hearing you say that because we'd expect it would be anything but that. But okay, I will remember you said that. Let me go. First of all, with respect to what you're writing here, Jim, you said simply not being Francois Legault has been an asset for Paul Saint-Pierre Plamondon, but that's going to change, right?
Yeah, and this is the thing, because Legault is not going to change his style. The left's not going to change his spot. The thing is, Paul Saint-Pierre Plamondon is going to have to. He got a nice bump in popularity because why? Because he wasn't Francois Legault. He actually sounded like a rational person. But that said, as we get closer to the election, Article 1 of the Parti Québécois Charter, the sovereignty of Quebec, is going to be an anchor around his neck. Will he opt for the tried and true traditional choice of many PQ leaders before him of simply finding ways to delay, obfuscate, and otherwise, deep six the idea of sovereignty, saying, listen, we'll get to it, but right now there are other things we have to get to as a government. Vote for us. We'll do A, B, and C, and then we'll see about sovereignty. And everyone's going to nudge, wink, and whatever, because no one really wants it. But all that said, for a fact that the press corps up in Quebec City will start hounding PSPP simply on the basis of the fact that the PQ's raison d'être is Quebec independence, and you can't escape that no matter how you phrase it. And once again, he's on the record. He forms a government. We're going to a referendum. Yeah. Well, I'm not entirely sure that'd be a very good idea, seeing as how the needle is not budging on support for sovereignty. But, we'll see. But once again, he's got to have a plan B.
All right, let me go on and just ask you real quick here. Did you have a chance to watch Kamala Harris last night?
No, I saw the clips, though.
Okay, what did you think?
Listen, she's a normal politician. that she speaks in complete sentences and didn't wind up, say, swinging from the chandelier in the middle of the interview. Yeah, I think that's really, really great. We're grading on a curve here, and the bar is not too high when it comes to judging Kamala Harris. Talk to me after September 10th. Talk to me after the debate. See what happens. Because quite frankly, the fact that given his conduct, indeed, over the past 48 hours, I'm not going to recount it. I know we don't have time. But the fact that Donald Trump remains a candidate for the presidency of the United States in light of just what we know in the past 48 hours, to me, does not bode well for the future of our neighbors to the south.
Explain what that means. What do you mean in the past 48 hours? Why?
Have you seen the Arlington Cemetery mess?
Yeah.
Okay, so that whole thing, that idea of honestly desecrating what is supposed to be, what Americans hold to be one of the most sacred places in their country for political gain, two of his thugs, sort of shoving around a female employee who said, no, you can't use this, you can't take pictures, whatever, and then walking away from it. And the fact that I'm sure the weekend polls will come out, probably from the Wall Street Journal, probably from the New York Times, both of whom are completely in the tank for Trump, saying, well, no, he's still in there. He still has a chance to be president of the United States. And people in the U.S. just kind of nod and go, yeah, okay, well, that's just Trump being Trump. It's not normal. It is not totally normal. And I really despair about what's going to happen this November, because any American will tell you, no, the guy's crazy, I'm never going to vote for him. And yet, for some reason, they're still neck and neck. And it's not, I don't think it's just spun polls.
When we talked about this the other day, I said to you, I wonder how important, and we said, debates in the past, some people walk away. There is going to be this debate coming up September 10th. So that's been established. I think for a lot of people, and I know people say, well, you know what, if you've already decided to vote one way or the other, this won't make a difference. I'm wondering if it actually will. I have a feeling it may. We don't know. We don't know how it's going to play out. But I think that's one to watch, Jim. So we shall see.
Well, we'll watch it. But you know, Aaron, I got to tell you, I think we're at the point now where we've heard so much of Trump, where he is absolutely he has zero sense of any kind of shame or constraint. I think he could just drop his pants and run around on that stage, and people say, just Trump's being Trump.
Okay, we shall see. I like that part last night, by the way, when she, when the line was brought up by Dana Bash, asking Kamala Harris about him saying, she used to be black and now she's not black. And she just avoided it. She didn't take the bait and go ahead and tear a strip. She just walked away, and I thought that was a very smart thing to do.
Because the idea is, and this is what scares the hell out of mainstream media about Kamala Harris, is she knows how sausages are made. She knows they're just in business for clicks and dollars. That's it. Ms. Bash's job last night was not to inform the public. It was try to get their numbers up. If it didn't go well that night, they'll take a different approach the next time they go around. But that is all that it's about now.
James MENNIE at the Montreal Gazette. Jim, have a great weekend.
You too, buddy.
Talk to you next week.